Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to Spiritual Business Spotlight. My name is Sue Ellis-Saller, and I am here today with Glenn Younger. She's a spiritual author, a divine soul coach, and a what else would you how else would you describe your fabulous work, Glenn? Hi and welcome, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah, I think a divine soul coach is a good way of saying it, with applied spirituality, practical spirituality. And as far as the writing, I have fiction and nonfiction. So yeah, that would be a good thumbnail.
Okay. Okay, good. Now, when you're working with people, what kind of things do you do with them what is a divine soul? First of all, like what is getting a divine soul connection?
Okay. The divine soul is that part of us that is consciously aware of our connection to everything that ever was, is, and will be. If your listeners are familiar with the Akashic records, and that's kind of like this dimension of all knowledge of all time, our divine soul moves through that very easily. And so it's that part of us, it's that origin spark of self-awareness, and it's pure unconditional divine love. And that's what we're made of, and everything else stems from that. Traditionally, in the human experience, we're born knowing all of that, and then we're slowly conditioned to look away from our own knowing and our own essence of unconditional divine love, and to look outwards for our love and our respect. And then we learn to view ourselves by what's mirrored back to us from the world at large. And so from that kind of creates this hamburger universe, that the good is above, the bad is below, and we're all scrabbling in between. And so we need to look for our answers in the stars or in the cosmos, when in actual fact, those answers and that love that we're seeking is already flowing through us. And so from that, we kind of create this module of spirituality that we're going to ask our higher self. And this is a big question that people ask me, is what's the difference between your higher self and divine soul? Like it's one and the same. And no, it's not. Our higher self is kind of that spiritual aspect of us that has a bigger vision of life here on third dimensional Earth. And so it is more omnipotent than our ego intellect, but it's kindergarten stuff compared to our divine soul knowing.
Okay. So sorry about that. Nobody was able to see that. But so this is something that people would kind of want to connect with when they're making decisions and moving forward with their lives, and to find their purpose in direction and guidance.
Well, I'll tell you, we can even take that. Yes, you're correct. But we can take that a step deeper. And the deeper you go, the simpler it gets. Why do we want to take a direction? Because we think it will gain us love or respect or success, or we feel that it's what we're meant to do. When in actual fact, what we're looking for is the remembrance of that connection. And there is no disconnection. There's just, we're not looking in that direction. You know, it's like you can't be disconnected from your hand. It's just, if your hand is numb for the moment, you forget you have it until you bang it into something. And it's like, oh, wow, that thing's numb.
Right.
Does that make sense? So the simplest thing is, when you look towards your divine soul knowing, then you know where you want to go. You really, really want to go, not where you think you want to go. Because when you work in your head, you're taking your past and projecting it into your future.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But what you're doing is that's the long road to creation. Because you have to repeat the past mistakes until you get it and go, oh, wait, I don't want to repeat that anymore. But if you look straight towards your divine soul knowing, then you remember, why did I come here? What did I come here to do? And what's the best way to get there? So depending on where you are and what it is that you want to do, yeah, you'd look at your divine soul knowing and ask for guidance there, because you already know. It's just getting out of your own head to hear it. Do you understand? Did that answer your question?
Right. So you're basically connecting with your vision in a way that doesn't take the past experience into consideration when trying to move forward?
No, because when you use the word connecting to your vision, that's working off the premise that there's a disconnect. And there isn't a
Okay.
disconnect. I mean, where it gets difficult is when we think there's a disconnect and then we have to create the connection. So that's like double, triple work.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
That's going from your higher self. Okay? If you
Ah,
let go of that paradigm, that worldview, and say, wait a minute, okay, I don't need to connect anything. I'm just going to let go. I'm going to just let go for a minute, let go of my point of view. And I'm just going to rest in this. And I'm going to let the love rise up. And what is divine love? It's infinite intelligence that knows all things, omniscient, all-knowing, all-knowing wisdom, and all-powerful unconditional love. That's what we're made from. That's what's already flowing through us. And so I'm just going to let go of my worldview for a minute. I'm going to let that rise up. And my divine soul knowing is going to speak to my human aspect in a way that I'll understand. And when you see it and you accept that that's what you want, yes, that's what I'm going to create. It's like projecting it onto a green screen. You know how in the movies, they'll put actors, on this green screen and then they'll project all of the world around them and it seems
right.
real. Okay, so what it is you let this rise up and you just project it on your green screen of life, and then you know exactly, here's what I need to do, here's what I need to let go of.
Right.
And then it just becomes a question of, do I want it? Yes or no?
But that's often the simplest and the hardest part of it, isn't it?
Well, the hard part comes from the paradigm of separation. And when I say paradigm, it's the worldview. And we're constantly creating a worldview. So this is not esoteric woo-woo stuff. This is what we all do.
Right.
You can look at grammar school and the kid believes that he's going to get laughed at or she's going to get laughed at. Then somebody can say a neutral statement and they're going to take it like, oh God, they're laughing at me, so I need to shrink, because that's their worldview. And because they believe it, they look for verification of that. Do you understand?
Right.
When we believe it, we look for verification of it, because we do love to be right. And so,
Sure.
right? Yeah, I mean, that's just part of the gig. We love to be right. Okay, so if you believe that there's infinite possibility, then you see infinite possibility and you know which one to take. And so part of that process of getting to it is listening to your divine soul knowing, which is infinite possibility.
So how does one, like, and I hate to say tune in, because you mentioned that tuning in infers that there's a separation between, but you said just kind of sit quietly and allow without letting your own feelings drive the experience too much. Is that right?
When you're in the listening phase, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
when you're in the listening phase. And I've got a meditation, the basic activation of divine light vibrations guided meditation. It's on the website. There's the basic version, and then there's the version 2.0. And for people that are really into spirituality, I say go for the 2.0, because it's more refined and it'll take you deeper. When I say the basic activation, it's not like you're activating your awareness of these vibrations of unconditional love that are flowing through you. When you activate the awareness, what happens is that it becomes part of your world, and letting it become part of your world, it flows more freely and it manifests more fully. Okay. So it's back to the belief system. So it's letting this into your conscious awareness. We're made with something that's called selective perception, and we use it all the time. My favorite example is, you choose your first car. I remember I was like, I don't know, late 20s, 30. And I wanted a sports car because it was a cute accessory and I would feel sexy and all of this. So I said, okay, I'm going to choose this sports car. And it was a Fiat at the time. little two-seater convertible. And oh man, I just knew I was going to be sexy and different and, just one of a kind. The minute I drove that puppy off the lot, I saw that car everywhere.
Oh, no.
Because it was selective perception. It wasn't
Right.
part of my world before, for the same reason that I use the example of the car accident. There's a car accident. Two cars crash. The little kid sees, whoa, it was really cool. Like these two cars came together and boom, crash, everything. And the doctor's saying the blood and what kind of damage is done to the body. The mother's saying, oh my God, that's somebody's poor son. The lawyer's saying, who's at fault? And the police are saying, okay, folks, keep away. We need to take care of this. So we've got like 5 or 6 different realities, plus the people that were in the accident.
Right.
And these are all part of this same set of circumstances, but it's lived differently by their selective perception. You understand?
Right.
Okay, so
right.
You're selectively perceiving your reality at every given moment. So that's why we listen to our divine soul knowing that knows everything. And we release what no longer serves us as part of our paradigm that limits us so that we can see the larger vision and see the larger opportunities and take action. Even if we have fear, you let it go and let the fear be transformed into illumination, peace, and courage. Whatever you ask it to, it's unconditional. Really didn't give a flying rip what you do with it.
Well, I think that's a good thing to mention too, that the universe is really, kind of open to the direction that you choose to go in.
100%.
Yeah. And so if you choose to limit the potential or possibilities that you're seeing because of fear or because of past judgment or because of what your mom said or whatever, then you limit your possibilities. So instead of having 20 possibilities, you limit it to 2 because that's what your mom said.
Or my favorite one, oh no, it's impossible because boom, 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 boom. And they start listing out all of the reasons why it's not possible to do it. And see, the thing is that divine light moves on the yes. There is no such thing as no. And I talk about the 14 principles of divine light. I call it unconditional love, divine light. Depending on the phrase, it can almost be interchangeable. But one of the basic principles of how divine light flows is that it only moves on yes. And so if you say, I really want this job, everything says, okay, and starts to move all of the pieces of the puzzle to make that happen. And then you say, but I'm really too old. Okay, let's block these pieces of puzzles.
Right.
But I really can do it despite my age. Okay, let's get the thing in movement again. But, what if they really have, okay, let's block this. And so this is how we manifest. It's until whichever one wins. And that's why the manifestation can get a little sloppy along the way.
Right.
And so if the value of sitting and listening and just letting the limiting beliefs transform is to say, I want this. And then just listen to yourself. I use look, let, listen. Look at what you want. I want this. Let's just say this job. I want this job. I'm just going to rest in that. And I'm going to let myself hear and feel my resistance to that. Because see, another principle is ask and you will be given if you're willing to have it.
Right.
If you're willing to have it. Now in a lecture we go, yeah, I want it. But what about those subconscious and emotional? Oh, but what if that means, and it might mean, am I up to it? And do I have that responsibility? And am I willing to do that? Those are all no's. Those are all, and basically what they are is those no's are yeses in another direction.
Right. Well, that's a good thing to point out though, too. I mean, sometimes either what I was thinking about is, number one, you already know in your heart of hearts that it isn't the right choice for you and that you're just pursuing it because it's the thing for now, but also, there is this part that what if you're choosing the wrong thing for yourself will the universe redirect you or guide you in a different direction?
Okay. Again, I'm gonna take off the universe because the universe is like some outside force is bringing this. It's already flowing through you. Okay. The universe is
Okay.
flowing through you.
Okay.
Infinity comes from within and moves outwards. It's not out there coming here. Actually, it's a two-way street. But for this conversation, remember this. Okay. So your question is, what if you make the wrong choice? Cool. Now you know you don't want that anymore.
Right.
Got that out of the way.
Well, I'm just
Cool.
thinking
So
a
wait,
lot
I
of
asked. Go ahead.
I'm thinking a lot of times the people who I'm working with are specifically, desiring a specific partner or want, in certain cases, I won't say, want this thing, but then something comes up. So it's more they put the emphasis on exactly something that might not come up. And so when they're trying to manifest this over and over and over again, it's like if you wanted to write for DC Comics or something like that. And now I can't think of the other comic, but there's another big comic company. What if the other
Marvel
big
Comics.
thank you, Marvel. What if Marvel keeps sending you acceptance letters and you're just like, no, but I want to write for DC. Do you know what I mean? So it's not that you're not getting accepted for the end result that you want. It's just it's coming in a different it's in a different form than you are asked that than you have set your sights on.
Okay. You have about 3 questions in that. In actual fact, there's layers. But okay, let's do the DC. I want DC Comics. Okay, that's what I
Mhm.
want, and I'm willing to have it. And you ignore everything else. Perhaps that is your right road.
Mhm.
Perhaps it is in your highest good. Okay, so the first step is ask for, I want that or something better for my highest good.
Okay.
Okay, so remember that, folks. Write that down. I want this, fill in the blank, or something better for my highest good. Because then that way you're letting go of the ego intellect and you're letting your divine soul do more of the guiding.
Okay.
Okay, that's the first step. Okay, second step, let's say the Marvel Comics comes in and it gives you an offer. That's when you go back to your divine soul knowing. Do the basic activation of divine light vibrations guided meditation. And what you do is you just release any preconceived notions that I have about this. Any preconceived notions, transformation into illumination, and then sink into it. And you feel the sinking in. It's like you're relaxing into it. And then you say, is Marvel Comics, is this a good offer for me, for my highest good? Yes or no? And the no will have no movement. And the yes, you'll feel kind of an expansion or a sense of rightness. And you'll feel it in your body. It's vibrational. Because your divine soul communicates vibrationally to you. And it's palpable in your body. So that's your second step. Is this the right opportunity for me and my highest good? Yes or no? If it's the best opportunity, then take it. If it's not, then you say, okay. And then I always like to double check, is it best for me to stay focused on DC Comics? Yes or no? If it's a
Right.
yes, you just keep focused. Now, let's say Booply Doop Comics comes in. Now, Booply Doop, he's never heard of, or she's
Mhm.
never heard of, but Booply Doop shows up and says, well, hey, we've heard about you and we'd like to have a conversation. No, 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 I'm focused on DC Comics, DC Comics. Well, no, stop. Let go. Take a look at it and let love guide you. Is Booply Doop a good conversation? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, I'm going to have it. Maybe out of that conversation comes a refinement of what it is that you wanted. Or maybe that is for your highest good, even it looks like you're not going to earn 2 dickwats on it. I meant to say diddly-watts. It came out kind of wrong. But 2 diddly-watts on it, but that's for your highest good. Huh. What? Then that's up for you to take that leap of courage. Am I going to jump? Because maybe Hoop-de-Doo Comics whatever name I invented, I already forgot, but Hoop-de-Doo Comics is the next Apple startup.
Okay. Right.
You know, so this
So,
is why it's important to stay focused at what you want, but I want that or something better for my highest good. And you're constantly letting go of your thought patterns or your mental schemes, your paradigm, your worldview. For anything that no longer serves me, I let go of. Transformation into illumination, inner peace, and courage to follow through.
right.
Okay, so you understand the layers on that. So it's not just an A or B answer, but this is a system that you can follow.
Right.
So
Right. It's more of a process.
Yeah.
Instead of just like a specific yes or no, or really just making snap decisions.
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between staying focused and staying rigid. You want to be focused, but you want to be fluid.
That's a really good way of putting it. So that you allow a little bit more expansion in your, yeah. Now, how did you get in touch with this knowing? How did this come to you? This soul purpose and divine guidance.
The memory of it, the memory of that part of us.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a learning curve. It was a remembering curve. I was born knowing. I'm a one in, one out. I've come in for the ascension. So it's not like I've had lifetimes here on earth. So my memories were closer to the surface, but we're all born remembering as infants. And then we become conditioned. But when I was a very young child, I astral traveled and saw people's auras and the light, the energy running between us, and saw what people did in the name of love that was really not. It was very dense and hurtful. And for me, my shutdown was when I discovered that not everybody viewed the world that way. And without even going into that, hey, welcome to the human experience. We all have to go through these conditionings as children so that we wake up. And when we transform it, it not only transforms our own life, it transforms the collective consciousness. So there's, an actual fact, the worse the childhood, the better the alchemy you could do for reawakening and the better gift you can give to the world. But that's another subject. You asked me about how did I remember. So I posed the question. I came from I'd grown up in the Christian paradigm, which was very much Hamburger Universe and very much the old man in the sky with the staff and the judgment. So I didn't even come from the softer version of it. And I just wanted to have that one question answered of how did my experiences as a child combine with what Jesus had done 2,000 years ago, and how did that save me from what I had not yet done on Saturday night?
Right.
And so that was my core question. And then that's when there was a car accident on snow. And I write about it, and I've talked about it other places, so I won't go into the details here. But that was the first time that I in this car accident, I'm going 65 miles an hour on snow. A car bangs into me. I bang into a car. This is a whole lot bigger than me. And this voice rose up that was ever present that said, let go. Just let go. It was so simple, so omnipotent. And I'm okay. And I let go. And I figured if nothing else, I was going to exit stage left,
Right.
calm. And then something shifted and time slowed down, and I started to see the world in its divine light form. And when I had finished spinning and everybody else had finished spinning and we all ended up in medians, even the people emanated divine light. And so that was my big awakening. And that was 34 years ago.
Wow.
And I saw how simple life was. It was so simple. I am divine light. I am infinite unconditional love. You are a divine soul having a human experience just like me. You are made of infinite divine light. And we are all that. That is who we are. And we create whatever we want. And we're all dancing together. And it was so infinitely simple that my ego intellect couldn't freaking believe it. And so I went around proving that it could be that simple. And so that's what my long learning curve was. And so just through a whole series of trial and error and trying it in different fields and all of that. And there's just so many stories that kept taking me deeper and deeper and deeper. There was one day that it just all snapped into focus, and I went, it really is simple, but I was finally ready to accept that. And that's
Right.
what we all go through, is we have this, and I've seen it with clients, I'll work with somebody that does Reiki, for example. And so I'll be sharing these vibrations of unconditional love, and they'll try to manage it Reiki style. And I have to say, no, let go of your Reiki. It's too small. Let it go. You can use it later, but you'll use it on a deeper level. So just let it go and just feel this stuff. And inevitably it's like, whoa, this is amazing. And I went, yeah, and it's right here. It's always right here. And so then there's this huge opening, and then there's the little bit of struggle afterwards of, how do I fit this huge thing in that small, in my worldview? And you can't. You have to let the worldview expand to include the new. Does that make sense? You follow?
Yeah.
And so it's a process that we all go through, and certainly I did it. And so that's how I remembered. Here's the thing for each and every person to remember, okay? Your divine soul is actively guiding you, wanting you to wake up and remember. Period. That's a constant. Period.
Right.
Okay, so we're back to look, let, love. And that let is the hard part.
Right.
I let myself, I let the love, I let this manifest. It's the letting is the hard part.
Right. Yeah, totally. It's the hard part. And then you have to really kind of figure out what it is, do you want it to direct you, or do you want to take this? Yeah, like you said, it's really a little bit more simple. It's seeing things in a totally different perspective.
Right.
Then. So, right. And what, oh, sorry, you were going to say something.
Well, I was going to just add to that, the hardest question that I've seen consistently, whether a client is just starting off or they're really doing multidimensional work that the people just starting off would call esoteric, and the ones that are actually doing it, it's just their next step. But the one common thing is the knowing what you want and accepting that you can have it.
Right. Right.
And so that's the perspective. If you don't accept that you can have what you want, then you won't be willing to look at it and say it.
That's hard though. And that's probably why somebody needs to work with somebody like you to be able to fully appreciate that in their own lives, because it's simple. I mean, it's so simple, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Either you want it or you don't want it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I mean, when I'm working with someone, because I'm talking to their divine soul, who knows everything about the person that's sitting in front of me, warts, boogers, and all, conscious, subconscious, the whole shkabeel. Mm-hmm. And so I ask, how can I serve? And so your divine soul knows what your ego intellect needs, what your human aspect, what your human emotional world needs. And so I can get the human aspect a whole lot layers deeper, faster than they could on their own. But it really just does come down to, what do you want? And the thing is, the way we're made up as humans is you can want something intellectually and not want it subconsciously. Right. And so now you've got the want, not want, fighting it out. But see, I'm going to circle back around to, what if you make the wrong choice? Cool. That's how you learn.
Right. Right. And that's really, some people get so stuck on that, like, fear of putting the foot in the wrong direction, or even in changing directions after they've already started on a path, So, I mean, it's just like our society is so focused on finish what you've started, or like, people who go to university for what their parents wanted them to do, for example.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're, 6 years into a doctorate degree and they're miserable, but their parents are, right. And so this is totally about reclaiming your power as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Reclaiming yourself. Reclaiming yourself.
Right.
I'm going to circle back around to that hamburger universe where we look outside ourselves for the love and approval. We want our parents' love and approval. We want that because they were the first representation of that infinite unconditional love that we remembered when we were born.
Right.
You know,
hopefully.
Whether they were responsible with that or not, that's the dynamic on a human level that's going on. Subconsciously, we want to belong to that tribe. We want that tribe to fit us. We want to fit in that tribe because it's scary being alone. We're never alone, but we believe that we can be.
Right.
It's in the human DNA because traditionally, caveman days, a loner didn't survive. You needed the community. So that's in the DNA. Okay,
right.
So you've got that dynamic of wanting their approval, wanting that. And so it's a scary step to stand up on your own and say, I'm going to let my light shine. This is my truth. It's scary and it takes courage because what if they cut me out?
Right.
And that's the fear that's present. So what do? Now that you know that that fear is present, you let go and you let love transform it into inner peace, courage, and the remembrance of who you are. And you are a divine soul having a human experience for a very short period of time in the overall arc of your life.
True.
I mean, even if you're here 100 years, that's a blip on your overall life curve.
Right. Now, what do you think that, I'm sorry, can you tell us a little bit about your books and what they're about?
Yeah, sure. The how-to book is How to Make the Most of Your Earth Experience. And that's 14 Principles for Living Unconditional Love. Had I written this or had I entitled it knowing what I know now about the internet and doing book covers, I would have called it Look, Let Love.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I would have called it Look, Let Love Flow in Your Life or something on that. But this is a great little basic book that has the 14 principles and at the end of each chapter, there's examples either in my life or the life of clients and other people that I've worked with over the years. And then there's also Look, Let Love action steps. So there's questions that you can ask yourself, but this is a great self-guided journey and a great reference. And it's, for me, it's a no-brainer, but to go pick it up. Because I think it's like $4 in Kindle, and I don't know, $11 print. But this is, yeah. This is a no-brainer. If this isn't on your bookshelf, you're missing something because it boils all of this down to something that's really simple. And I'll tell you, these principles you use no matter where you are in your life journey, no matter how deep you go. If I'm going into a next dimension and I'm more of the memories of my home dimension are coming to me, I still have to use the principles to get there. Principles are principles.
Right.
Okay. Then the other one, here's my baby. Here's my baby. And this is Waymakers. And this is a fiction. And this is a multidimensional, transformational story about Ra, who comes from the origin dimension of all creation, and she's here for the ascension. And when her jewelry box mysteriously reappears her missing jewelry box mysteriously reappears against all logical explanation, then her search for answers sets off this domino effect that affects everybody in her life, the world around her, and reaches out to the far reaches of the universe. And the reason I love this book is it's an ensemble cast of characters, and I deliberately did that. So no matter where you are in your spiritual reawakening, you're in this book. And it's a, even if I say so myself, it's a great story.
Right. Yeah,
I love it.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And there's also, I think about a quarter of a way through my way through it right now, but there's also another dimension that's working simultaneously with Ra as she's going, like learning her process or
Right.
going through her own journey.
Yeah, there's her counterpart. It would be her twin flame. And here on Earth, a lot of people say when they're looking for their twin flame, they think it's a romantic partner, and it rarely is. And it's not somebody who completes you. It's just that where your two vibrations can work so well together that it magnifies out. It's kind of like two chords coming together in a musical note, or two notes that come together and they make a chord. Together, they resonate stronger than they could individually. And so that's what that twin flame is. It's like your other note for the chord, and it's not a romantic partner. So yeah, it's her twin flame.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting. But this is a series though, isn't it? You're actually coming out with more books in the series. Is that correct?
I'm 80%, probably 90% done with the second book. And it's been in that state for a while, simply because I published these other two books without understanding how to market on the internet. And it was hard finding somebody who knew, for all that I know, when it came to being reborn on the internet, I was kind of like, a seventh grader who suddenly finds herself in college and is like, okay, where do I go next? Where do I go next? So I was having to spend a lot of time asking, what happens next? What happens next? Because I was so inexperienced from an earth point of view on this. And so it's now that I kind of have a feeling more of what I'm doing, then I'll start looking for beta readers. So if any of your listeners are interested in being a beta reader, they'll have had to have read the first book just so that they understand what's going on. But if they're interested in being a beta reader, then, in a month or two, I'll start looking for beta readers. So I'm planting the seed. I'm putting it out there.
Okay. And it is available on Kindle Unlimited. So I think Kindle Unlimited, I was looking over my own Amazon Prime, which a lot of people have Amazon Prime. Then you can read it. You can put it onto your Kindle for free. So it's really, so that's a good thing to have it on Amazon. Definitely. Amazon is like a search engine nowadays.
Well, it is. And it's like this great, if you're Amazon Prime, it's like a great online library.
Oh yeah.
That you can pick and choose. I'm old school with my books. So I don't even belong to Amazon Prime. I want to own them. I don't want to borrow them. I want to own it. I want this to be mine, and make my notes. But that's just me anyway, and that's a tangent. But as far as other books that are coming out, I've got coming out, and this is pretty much done, a wonderful book where I pulled all of the different aha moments that I've had along the years in my reawakening, or aha moments that clients have had, and to put it into one phrase to give you that aha moment. And then I've connected it to articles, either my own articles, and given you exercises to make it. So this would be a real quick flip through where you can almost, I don't know if in English this works, but I call it a dipping book, where you just kind of go, okay, here's my question, and I'm going to dip here, and here's my quote.
Right.
But so that'll be coming out, and I'm not going to say the name yet, just because I'm still keeping
Yeah.
the container, but that'll be coming out, and that's a fun book. So yeah, I have a lot of how-tos that'll be coming out too.
Oh, that's a great thing. So, and they'll be available on Amazon as well or is that
They'll be
true?
available on Amazon, or I'm going to come out with a series of workbooks that I'm going to offer up through Waymakers Academy. And
Oh, okay.
Waymakers Academy came from this, and I have a business coach that I work with. And, I was going to do Divine Light Vibrations Academy. And Natalie went, no, it's got to be Waymakers Academy. And I went, huh? What? Huh? Mental hiccup on my part. And she said, yeah, Glenn, it's obvious. It's Waymakers Academy. You talk about Waymakers Academy in the novel.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden it's like, whoa. All of these vibrations of yes, 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 yes. And I went, yeah, okay. Which, by the way, that's a great example of how your divine soul, even if your ego intellect isn't asking that question, your divine soul will speak to you through other people. And you'll feel it because you'll feel the recognition. Little tangent, but that's a great example of how your divine souls and all of our divine souls are working together. But so some of the workbooks will be offered up through Waymakers Academy. I'm going to do one on procrastination. I've got one on asking the right question, because that seems to be where people run into trouble, is they don't know what questions to ask. And one of the principles in this book is the question, is the answer wanting to reveal itself to you?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so they feel this movement and they feel the urge, but they don't know what to do with it. They don't know what questions to ask. So I'm going to do a little workbook on helping them to understand how to approach the asking of questions so that you can dig for the yes.
Right.
So
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So if any of your people are running into something, let me know, and I can I can put a workbook together, and I won't put those workbooks up on Amazon. They'll be right through Waymakers Academy.
Okay. And that's through the Divine Light Vibrations website.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's in the comments below for the listeners. So I've already, or the people who are watching. So I think a lot of people are going to be watching on replay. So this is definitely so. But the Waymakers Academy, like, what would a person, like, what kind of experiences would a person be going through in their own life, which would direct them to the Waymakers Academy? What kind of people would benefit from the Waymakers Academy?
Okay. Anybody who feels ready to go deeper would be the overall umbrella. In general, for some of the projects that I have in mind down the road, the ones that are already new thought thinkers, because if you're still in the stage of superficial living where breaking your nail is the end of the world, you don't belong in Waymakers Academy.
Right.
You just don't belong. But if you're already a light worker and you want to take your light work to a deeper level, and it doesn't matter what you work with, because everything is valid, because here on earth, the way this ascension works is you transform things and that ripples out, but you help those who still have yet to go through what you've already done. Those are the ones that you help. And you take the help from those that have already walked the path that you want to walk. And so Waymakers Academy is really geared towards those who have already been on their reawakening path. And they already have a pretty good handle on what they're doing, and they're ready to go deeper. That's who it's geared for. And that's who I'm going to build it for. Some of the, right now what's in there is Meet the Infinite You. So this is good for somebody who wants to really meet their divine soul and get in touch with it. And so there's some basics that they will feel very comfortable and familiar with. And then I deliberately take that basic and take them deeper on it. And so you spiral from here into your divine soul knowing. And So that's the online course, Meet the Infinite You. And of course, the basic activation of Divine Light Vibrations Guided Meditation is already in there. And that's the version 2.2. And again, that's a no-brainer. Do it before your regular meditative practice, and it'll take that deeper too, because it's designed to do that. Or it's a standalone piece, either way, but it's designed that way. And then in the future, what I want to do in Waymakers Academy is have a group of light workers who are here and they want to work on a global scale, and they understand, they're deep enough into their divine soul knowing that they understand how their combined vibrations do make an impact.
Right.
And so I have that I want to create. So anyway, so Waymakers Academy is really geared for people that are already well launched in their spiritual reawakening and remembering.
Oh, okay. And it will be more like a community rather than like an individual class that you would go through kind of by yourself, as opposed to with others? Or
Meet the Infinite You, the online course, is an individual course. I originally thought to do it as something that we do together, and it's something that I might do in the future. The reason I ended up letting it just be self-study is I didn't know how to launch a course. Again, I'm a seventh grader at university going, what do I do? And so I didn't know how to launch it, and it just, I wanted to write the books. And so it just seemed like if I really studied about launching it, then it would take me off my path of writing the books. And that's what I wanted to do. So right now it's sitting there as a piece. And I'm wide open to doing it. It would be fun to do it as a group. And it might be that in the future, I take that basic course and put it together with how to make the most of your Earth experience, and then create a private experience for a group of people that want to do this kind of work.
right.
And then another group of people that want to do that kind of work. You follow?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I mean, this is all in the future. But so as far as the community, you've helped me start Waymakers Community on Facebook, and in that, I really thank you. You've taken me to 8th grade level. I'm still at university, but I'm in 8th grade.
Right.
And so, once there's some people in there, then I would love to have conversations and not let it just be one way. I would love two-way conversations.
Right.
That's my favorite.
Oh, definitely. Well, and then that way it really kind of feeds the, with prompting and with, kind of guidance that kind of feeds everything, and then creates a community rather than, like you said, a monologue.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just, I still need to learn how that would happen on Facebook.
Right.
I'm still learning what that is. Anyway.
Right. Yeah. And unfortunately, right now with Facebook, you really have to, if you're listening into this too, this is a good thing to know. Facebook and Instagram, people really need to be interacting in the groups that they want to see more of in their feed, because the way that the algorithm is, it really does minimize distribution to like 7%. So even if somebody has liked the Waymakers, and even if somebody has liked your page, your business page, Facebook in order has just minimized. It's more of a pay to play kind of area.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I mean, I've had clients reach out to me through WhatsApp saying, man, I haven't seen anything from you, on, Enlightertain Me on Facebook, which is my business page. And I'm like, well, have you physically or specifically gone over there?
Right.
No. And I'm like, well, go over there. And then they'll get back, holy cow, Facebook's not letting them know it's there.
Right.
So
right.
30 dogs.
Well,
That's
ultimately,
what Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
saying dirty dogs, just joking around. That's what that game is, It's like, okay, I thought I could play basketball. It's a soccer field. Okay, those are the soccer rules.
Well, and then once you start playing soccer, they're like, "Oh, well, now we're going to play rugby,"
I
and
know.
you're just
I
like,
was thinking
"I was
rugby too.
playing." Yeah.
I know. I know.
But it's really, and it's kind of working in, you know, like I said, number one, the people who want to see your posts regularly should go over to your page and should, say something, comment. In Instagram, it's more than 3 words. So you can't just say, wow, you have to say, wow, that's awesome. I love it, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And on Facebook as well, getting that interaction going. And then once you get that interaction going, then it brings up your information to more people, even those people who
Right.
have followed you. And so, unfortunately, like we were just saying, as soon as you learn the rules of the game that you thought you were playing, and all of a sudden you're playing a new game, and you're just like, oh, okay. So, even me scrambling, I've been doing the Facebook thing for, 7, 8 years now.
Right.
And I remember distinctly the one time where they put the algorithms in place. And so I was reaching an audience of 1,200 on a daily basis.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden it dropped to 40,
No.
and yeah. And that is what is the word? Like how, I don't know, effective, is that the word I'm looking for? That's not the word I'm looking for, but what the result of these algorithm changes were, and putting the algorithms into place. So like I said, as soon as you learn what the game is, then they've changed it again as well. So,
And
it's
it's
just
pay
really
to
fun.
play. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they
I
have
need
a
to
business
grow into
too.
that. I need to grow into that. They have a business too.
Mhm.
And at the same time, okay. At the same time, the way that thing came down is, okay, I'll pay to play. I'll pay to play. Okay. You change that. Okay. I get it. You've got this huge corporation to run. You've got all of those lawyers to pay. Okay. I'll pay. So I pay to play, and there's no real result, because then I discover, oh no, but I have to pay to play right. Well, then how do I learn to pay to play right? And so you
Mhm.
have to dig through Facebook. So now you've played 5 or 6 times before you really know where to find that information on how to play right. You understand?
Right.
That's the
But
part that bugs me.
they do have a Facebook University, that so they tell you how to use their ads and their marketing.
They
But
do
it
now.
is, yeah, and it is you know, a, I started taking the classes, but it is something that you have to put your thinking cap and your focus and, really kind of dive into that. But ultimately, small business, big business, at the end of the day, um, it's marketing is something that requires consistent effort in order to get consistent results. And usually we're playing, what we're doing right now is going to be 3 to 6 months in the future when we're
Right.
going to see, for me personally, I've been following, ooh, I have you on there, so I've been following Claire Mitchell. She makes these marketing planners, for example. I've been following her for 3 or 4 years now. And this is the first year I've ever bought anything from her, that I've spent
Right.
$1 with her,
Right.
And so it's just something where, I hate to say it, but a lot of times, and unfortunately, a lot of people are putting this beautiful, you know, I want to say, I don't want to say Trojan horse, or, this beautiful, like, you can make 6 figures in 3 months and we're going to show you how to do it. And you have to pay us, $1,500. But what you don't really realize or understand is that they've been building this
For
for
a
a long
long time.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's really kind of something that's been that they know is a process, that they
Right.
know is, kind of refining and honing in and then scrapping what's not working and
Right.
and changing direction,
Hmm.
and you just got to continue and continue. I know even Marie Forleo, I've been I've she's been on my radar for years. And this is the first year where I've actually spent money with Marie Forleo,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So so it is something that I have to say, at the end of the day, these overnight successes or whatever it's just the culmination of
Yeah, there
years of work.
exactly. It's if we look at it from an alchemical or a spiritual point of view, it's their focus is this, and then it takes a lot of energy to get a body in motion, but once it's in motion, then it
Hmm.
multiplies and it's easier to shift directions and things like that. So yeah, I was just looking on YouTube and caught my eye the 10 YouTube sensations that made it big. And this was geared for 20-year-olds. And, but it was interesting to see, okay, 7 out of the 10, I recognized who they were, all my
Right.
wrinkles and all of these 20-year-olds. But some of these kids that are like making multi-millions, they've been putting stuff up on YouTube, um, since they were 14 years old.
Right.
So
Right.
now, this is why they're this big, huge overnight sensation,
Right. Hmm.
so all of
Right.
that is to sustain what you were saying. Yeah. Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and so as far as Facebook goes or any bit of communication, it does take repetition. Even individually, we need to hear something more than once for it to
Right.
really sink in.
Right. And with this, even when you're working on your divine soul mission or your divine soul purpose, I think it's really important too for people to understand that their divine soul purpose might take a while to actually build. Rome wasn't built in a day, they
No.
say.
And yeah. And it is, all of the layers are vibrational. You're a vibrational being. And so, um, let's say you start off with this perception and you work in that direction, but as you go and you let go of things that no longer serve you, then your vision becomes clearer and it becomes richer and it becomes deeper and it does evolve. And so in that evolution, uh, it gains momentum. So yeah, absolutely correct.
Right. Right. And I like the way you put that. You shed what is no longer serving you
Right.
or your divine mission. And so that's why it's so important, like you said, to check in regularly with yourself, to be doing the meditations on a daily basis
Yeah.
or 3 times a week at the very least, so that you can say, you know what, I really need to follow my divine guidance, and I really need to move forward in a way that's focused and centered, instead of you know I'm the one to skip off on these magical little side
Oh,
trails.
I
And
hear you. But most spiritually oriented people do. I mean, it's like, woo, yeah, look at all this stuff. This is just good stuff out here. Let's go play.
right.
That's our strength. That's our absolute strength. It's also
Right.
our challenge, So, as far as keeping that focus, it's not just up here, but it's also the expression, the
Mhm.
pressing outwards of our light.
Right.
And the focus is what is the container. But yeah, but it is important to check in. And I'll tell you, I ask within for everything. everything. I mean, even the most banal. What do I feel like eating right now? Salt or sugar,
Right.
you know? What toothpaste do I get this time? Crest or this? Because my divine soul knows what's going on with my teeth before I'm recognizing it. From a human point of view, I'll recognize it once there's a problem.
Right.
My divine soul
Right.
already knows. So it's like, what toothpaste do I buy? And then interestingly enough, I've sat there and looked at toothpastes and, spent time. Well, which one? This one, this one, this one. It becomes a game. I end up choosing this one. I turn around and there's somebody that I'm supposed to meet that I've never met. And would I have
Right.
met them had I not been there playing in La La Land of, well, this toothpaste or this toothpaste or this toothpaste, just playing the game. Does that make
Right.
sense? So
Yep.
it's like there's all of these different aspects are going on that there's no way we can see them until we see them.
Right.
you know?
Right. And yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because sometimes too, you're on the right path. You don't know. And I had this question come up the other day, like, how do you know that you're on the right path? And it's just like in a car, you can only see what's in front of you, what's illuminated at the time.
Right.
But is knowing the destination ultimately the more important thing, or is driving with what you can see for the time being the most important thing? Because you might not fully understand what the destination is at the moment, but once you get there, you're like, oh yeah, this is where I was going.
Perfect. You really kind of answered your own question. It's important to, you choose a destination. I want to go to Rome. You choose a destination so you've got the direction, so that when you start flying or driving or walking or however you're going to go to Rome, you don't head towards China instead. You'll get
Right.
there, but you'd have to go around the globe. So, my destination is Rome. As long as you know your general direction, you might actually discover that your destination was Florence, but you didn't know about Florence. So you needed to head in the direction of Rome. So as long as you know your direction, then you can be in the moment with the right direction. How do you know if you're going in the right direction? Stop. Look at the direction you're going. Let go. Listen within. Let the unconditional love of your divine soul guide you. Know that you know, am I going in the right direction? Yes or no?
Right.
Yes is going to be yoo-hoo. No is going to be nothing. And well, kind of is going to be some movement, and then it'll tamp down.
Right.
And that's how
Right.
you know, well, kind of keep asking questions. If you don't get a full yes, am I supposed to change directions? Yes or no? If it's a yes, then okay, you got a 360s,
Right.
so you just start asking. But at the
Right.
beginning, always do yes or no. And then once you go deeper, then you understand what the vibrations are saying, and then you have a very full up dialogue. But
Right.
that's how you know
Right.
to be in the moment. So I'm going to recapitulate what you said. You might have a destination in mind that gives you your direction. You work on this direction. And how do you know you're going in the right direction? Ask.
Right. Right.
It's
Can
simple.
you show us? Yeah, definitely. Well, I really appreciate you explaining that to us and sharing your time and information and energy with our audience today. Can you show us your books again?
Sure.
Yeah. So you can find Glenn Younger's work on Amazon.com. She has the Waymakers, the How to Make the Most of Your Earth Experience, 14 Principles for Learning Unconditional Love, or Living Unconditional Love, I'm sorry.
That's
And
okay.
you can find her on Facebook, Instagram, or, as I said, Amazon. And yeah, I would love to have you back another time and chat with you some more about your work. And as your books come along and come out, then we can share them with the audience here.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And any feedback that your audience wants to give, or if they have any questions, I'm going to just offer this up that, have them put a question somewhere in the feed, and I'll try to come in and give them some directions, or at least an article where they can find out more, or any way I can do to help like that. I'm more than happy to.
Okay, that's great. And again, you can find Glenn's work at divinelightvibrations.com.
Yes.
So thank you again, Glenn.
Thank
It's
you.
always a pleasure to chat with you, and I will talk to you soon, okay?
Okay, sounds good. And thank you. And
Okay,
live your
you're
life.
welcome.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, thank you again. Bye-bye. This is Sue Ellis-Saller from Spiritual Business Spotlight. And thank you for tuning in today and listening and meeting our author, Glenn Younger. So we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.